Trooper Ben Gardner doesn't do it for the fame or glory.
Eric Estrada, Ponch, that follows me on Twitter, and then David Hasselhoff.
But for the love of the job.
It's broadened who I am and what the Highway Patrol does, not just in Kansas, but outside of it.
And at a time when law enforcement is under more scrutiny than ever.
When I have people that challenge me and make very strong, bold statements about me doing negative things when I know that's not the case, and to know that they've probably experienced something negative and they're placing that same negativity on me because I wear that badge and a gun. We need to separate them type of things and make sure that we hold each individual accountable to they themselves and what they've done.
Gardner has been a state trooper for 18 years and was one of the first KHP officers to start using Twitter back in 2013. While his numbers were small back then, they have grown to over 23,000 followers, and almost every day he finds a tweet from someone who read his advice on social media.
Through the interactions that I've had through social media, we've built a bridge to span that divide between I and the other people out there that don't know law enforcement.
And it's even built a bridge between the United States and the United Kingdom. Through Twitter, Gardner built a bond between himself and a British constable whose son has a rare cancer. Now, Alex Goodwin is receiving treatment in Kansas City with a whole lot of friends with a badge supporting him.
Everyone keeps going.
It's good. I like that.
As Alex does, and I need to add into my things, it's always about making a difference. And it's about trying to be the best person you can be, because that's what Alex would say.
Because they're nice, they're friendly, and they protect the innocent.
But his work in social media has grown even larger. Thanks to Trooper Ben, even celebrities are helping spread the word about safety.
Click your seatbelt, put it on, and thank you, Corey. Thank you, son. Thank you, Candace.
Thank you,
I want to give you guys the donation that I promised to give you. We take this to Trooper Ben and all of the Kansas Highway Patrol and tell them thank you for your service.
And while he makes work look fun, at the end of the day, he says he does it for his community and most of all, his family.
We all need to take some time and pause and enjoy the things that are good, which is being around our loved ones.
Sean Wheat, 13 News.
Every time Kansas Highway Patrol Master Trooper Ryan Mosher gets behind the wheel of his patrol car, he reflects on those who came before.
As I get older in age, I think we can become more sentimental about what we do and our legacy.
In particular, his older brother Darren, a sergeant at the Johnson County Sheriff's Office, and their great-uncle Eldon Miller, a sergeant in the Kansas Highway Patrol, a man they never actually met.
My great-aunt Marion shared stories and uniform patches and some of the leather holster and belt that he wore.
The stories told were incredible. I mean, just of a hero, you know, actual street hero. That's just something you look up to as a boy.
Uncle Eldon was an Army Staff Sergeant in World War II, then joined KHP in 1953. January 19, 1968, he was assisting Johnson County Sheriff's deputies in the search for 2 bank robbery suspects.
And I just had talked to Eldon Miller.
Retired Johnson County Detective Ed Hayes was there.
Somebody yelled, "We need a car around here for cover," so I ran to the car, and he had beat me. And he was sitting there in the seat. He got shot through the windshield into the forehead. And I mean, he was dead instantly.
Sergeant Eldon Miller was the first Kansas Highway Patrol trooper killed by gunfire in the line of duty. Nearly 50 years later, Ed joined the Mosher family as a permanent memorial to Sergeant Miller was signed into law.
He was a hero, and we honor his sacrifice.
Ryan and Darren's parents, Don and Barb Mosher, spearheaded efforts to rename a stretch of Highway 75 near Yates Center, Eldon's hometown, as the Sergeant Eldon K. Miller Memorial Highway.
Thank you guys very much for doing this.
It is a long time coming, because he died a hero.
It'll be a daily reminder that Eldon gave his life for a purpose.
As they find their great-uncle's name etched in stone, Ryan and Darren admit they're perhaps just now realizing how much they embody Eldon's legacy.
I didn't realize that it would be such a big deal to be part of the community and the county where he died, and then my brother being part of the agency where he served.
They strive to continue his example. Each time they hit the road, they say, it's about more than just their family.
Lives are lost every day in law enforcement, and their sacrifice for you, for me, it's important to know that people out there are, on your side and want to help and want to make a difference.
As a kicker and collegian at Harding College in Searcy, Arkansas, Steve Block had it figured out that he would go into some form of a career in law. Studying political science, he learned that law enforcement would be his goal. Now, Sergeant Stephen Block of the Topeka Police Department has also found he didn't have to give up on either of his interests. On his own time this past football season, the TPD sergeant worked with Shawnee Heights Special Teams on their kicking skills.
And there's such a dearth of place kicking knowledge.
Yeah.
About punting and place kicking and long snapping, and I kind of have that unique skill set. So Jason Swift was nice enough to kind of take a swing and let me assist there.
4 of his pupils are kicking in college now.
I've got one in Emporia, I've got one at Butler, I've got one at William and Jewell College, and then another one down in Coffeyville.
While he's helped them and dozens more put their best foot forward, new assignments within the Topeka Police Organized Crime and Gang Unit will provide new challenges for Steve Block in 2018 on keeping our Topeka area teens away from the wrong side of the law.
I had this opportunity as a sergeant when an opening became available to put in for it, and I knew the critical work that they do, and so I jumped at the opportunity to become a sergeant in the gang unit. We also take care of organized crime. That might be anything from prostitution to human trafficking.
Particularly within the gang unit, there will be high expectations to steer Topeka far away from its record 29 homicides recorded this year. What do you project the work on that to be in 2018?
Busy.
Yeah.
Busy. We're unfortunately have a record number of homicides this year, and so it's a task for us to try to stem that tide, to slow that down, to identify those individuals, and to help the detectives in any way we can when it comes to homicides that might involve gang members.
The September 2014 shooting death of his colleague and very close friend, Corporal Jason Harwood, created another new interest for Sergeant Block. He randomly chose playing tenor drum to join the Topeka Police Pipe and Drum Corps, playing memorial honors for Jason Harwood in the nation's capital and in ours.
But it has been a fantastic experience. It's allowed us to go to Washington, D.C. for Police Week. It's allowed us to be involved in the local memorials here and to honor the sacrifice that our officers have made in the line of duty.
Police Chief Terry Hollingsworth may be the only full-time officer in Overbrook, but he's training backup citywide.
Keep your arms up so I can see them. Keep your arms up so I can see them.
Overbrook City Councilwoman Joanne Allen wants to be ready for action. So she's grasping a simulator gun.
I learned how to hold a pistol and shoot a pistol.
And moving through a series of virtual scenarios she hopes to never see in reality.
All of a sudden, you realize that it's either you or the other person. And hopefully it's the other person.
Life or death scenarios are part of Milo Range training, an interactive simulation exercise. Trainees go through a variety of officer-involved scenes ranging from carjackings to school shootings.
You got point. You got that cover.
With over 1,800 outcomes, officers must decide whether to use force or not.
It gets their feet wet without actually being in that situation. This is all simulated. Out there, it's not. It's the real deal. And if they can keep their composure here, I think it will help them back out on the field.
Overbrook, a population just over 1,000, has 6 part-time officers in addition to the chief. Hollingsworth knows these violent situations don't happen every day, but he doesn't want his officers overlooking their city.
The worst word out there is routine. Routine traffic stops, routine alarm calls. That's when we get complacent, and that's when we end up hurt.
While Milo is usually used by law enforcement agencies, Hollingsworth invited his community to see through the eyes of a police officer and fight what he feels is the public perspective.
The general public just sees the worst side of what we do.
A 2016 study from the Pew Research Center found 83% of people say they understand the challenges police face. Only 14% of officers say the public truly knows.
Kind of scary in a way to see what our officers have to go through.
We see your hands!
And to see it firsthand on a screen and try to do it yourself really brings it to the forefront.
The chief even invited me to give it a try, where I saw firsthand. I didn't react quick enough, but I was nervous. What officers face.
I think that when people see this type of training and go through it, much like you did, there's a better understanding of what we go through. And many, many times we have to make split-second decision whether to use force or not use force.
Hollingsworth admits the training is predominantly for his part-time officers, but he's happy his city officials and local media are better prepared for the worst.
If you can train and be ready for that, whether it's less than lethal force or lethal force, you're ahead of the game.
Even if the worst is at an Overbrook City Council meeting.
I got the wall good.
Change is a difficult thing. It's not easy to change your life overnight.
But that's exactly the door probation officer Bev Hilbish asks Lyon and Chase counties' offenders to open when they go through her team's court-operated treatment program.
Each of our officers have a unique skill and talent, and they all buy into the philosophy that offenders can change.
The judges, county attorney, defense attorney, law enforcement, probation, and treatment providers bring their talents to the table where they meet each week. Their common goal? Promote positive change to put offenders on the path of success.
She had requested a bicycle, and so I've got that approved. So
when they see steps toward recovery,
30 days clean to satisfy the requirements of phase 1, so we're going to move into phase 2.
Bev says they put their hands together for positive reinforcement.
People like to feel that success. They like to feel like even though they may not have met the ultimate goal, if they're making positive steps in that direction, that we're recognizing that.
Bev knew she wanted to impact people's lives for the better when she left this church on a Sunday in 1988. But it wasn't just because of the prayers and gospel music she heard that day. It was the gunshots that set her career in motion.
I knew that my arm hurt, but didn't realize that I had been shot at first. I didn't think it was a shock. Knew that, turned around, and I'd seen the blood from my father and knew it was bad.
Bev's father was murdered, and she was among 6 injured when this man opened fire on a congregation at this Emporia church for an unknown reason.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's okay.
Bev believes if someone would have reached out to help the shooter, her father would still be alive. And that's why she works to help people get their lives on track, like a family she ran into playing miniature golf in Topeka.
And all of a sudden this girl came running over and gave me a big hug, and she said, "Do you remember me? You worked with my mom. You gave me my mom back."
The daughter of a single mom who was once addicted to drugs and alcohol believes Bev was her family's saving grace.
If I can give back and change someone and give them the resources and the support and things that they need so they don't ever have to get to that point, I think that's really important.
Reagan Porter, 13 News.